The observation chamber hummed with an electric silence that seemed to crackle between the sleek metal walls. Captain Elena Rodriguez stood perfectly still, her posture relaxed yet alert, dark eyes fixed on the holographic display that flickered with alien precision. Outside the chamber's reinforced windows, the Centauri station rotated slowly against the backdrop of distant stars. Pinpricks of light danced against the infinite black, each representing countless worlds, civilizations, and centuries of interstellar conflict. But today would be different. Today, everything would change. The Zorn assassin drone entered the chamber with no sound, no warning. Its design was a masterpiece of alien engineering, a near-invisible mechanism that could slit through the most advanced security systems like a phantom. Constructed from metamaterials that bent light and absorbed electromagnetic signatures, it was the pinnacle of stealth technology. Most species would have never seen it coming. Most species would have been dead before they could even comprehend the threat. The drone's neural disruptor charged silently, a mechanism so advanced it could unravel neural pathways with surgical precision. In thousands of documented cases, it had ended political careers, dissolved planetary leadership, and maintained the Zorn Collective's grip on galactic power structures. Elena's fingers twitched almost imperceptibly, not from fear, but from scientific anticipation. Researchers had theorized about humanity's unique neurological responses for decades. Dr. Samira Khan's groundbreaking work on neural plasticity suggested the human brains possessed an adaptive capability far beyond any known species. But theory was one thing. Practical demonstration was another. The drone activated its primary weapon. A cascading wave of quantum-entangled neural disruptors spread outward, designed to unravel synaptic connections with mathematical precision. It was a technology that had toppled governments, eliminated strategic targets, and maintained a delicate balance of power across hundreds of star systems. Nothing could survive this attack. Nothing except, apparently, a human. The energy wave hit Captain Rodriguez like a silent tsunami. To any monitoring equipment, it should have been catastrophic. Neural pathways should have dissolved. Cognitive functions should have collapsed into irreparable chaos. Instead, something extraordinary happened. Her brain didn't just resist. It adapted. Synapses that should have been destroyed instead reconfigured themselves instantaneously. Neural pathways that should have collapsed created new connections faster than the disruptor could track. It was as if her brain was playing an intricate game of quantum chess, predicting and countering each move before it could be completed. The drone's sophisticated sensors began to overheat. Its targeting systems became confused, then completely non-functional. Where it expected to see a collapsing neural network, it encountered a living, thinking system that was actively resisting and transforming. Elena allowed herself the smallest smile. "Interesting," she whispered, just loud enough for the recording systems to catch. Outside the chamber, a team of researchers watched in stunned silence. Monitors displayed impossible readings, neural activity that shouldn't exist, adaptive responses that defied every known law of neurological science. The Zorn drone, a pinnacle of assassination technology, began to spark and short-circuit. Its quantum processors couldn't comprehend what was happening. How could a target not just survive, but actively resist? As the drone collapsed into a useless piece of technological debris, Captain Rodriguez remained perfectly calm. Her brain had just rewritten the understanding of neurological defense, of survival, of what it meant to be adaptable. In that moment, humanity transformed from a seemingly minor species to something far more significant. The first test was complete, and it was only the beginning. The research facility stretched across 3 levels of the new Geneva Scientific Complex, a marvel of modern architecture that seemed to defy gravity as much as conventional thinking. Holographic displays danced with complex neural maps, each projection a constellation of human potential waiting to be understood. Dr. Elena Rodriguez leaned closer to the primary scanning array, her breath fogging a small section of the transparent analysis screen. Thousands of neural scans lay before her, each one a puzzle, a story waiting to be decoded. "This can't be real," muttered Dr. Marcus Chen, her primary research partner. His fingers danced across multiple interfaces, pulling up comparative data from dozens of species. The scans from the recent assassination attempt were unlike anything they had ever seen. Where other species' neural networks would show complete collapse under similar energy bombardment, human brains displayed something entirely different. Adaptive, transformative, almost alive in a way that defied traditional scientific understanding. Elena zoomed in on a microscopic section of neural pathways. What appeared to be simple synaptic connections were actually intricate communication networks that seemed to rewrite themselves in real time. Each attempted disruption created new pathways, new connections, new methods of communication. "It's not just resistance," she whispered. "It's evolution in milliseconds." The facility's quantum computers struggled to process the data. Advanced algorithms designed to analyze neural networks began to overheat, unable to comprehend the complexity of human brain function. What should have been a simple analysis became a complex mathematical challenge. Dr. Chen pulled up comparative scans from other known intelligent species. The Kraxon neural network, once considered the most adaptable in the known galaxy, looked rigid and primitive compared to human brain responses. The Zentari computational minds, praised for their logical precision, seemed like simple circuit boards next to the human brain's living, breathing complexity. "We're looking at something completely unprecedented," Marcus said, his voice a mixture of scientific excitement and genuine awe. Elena nodded, her mind racing faster than the computers surrounding her. The assassination attempt wasn't just a failed attack. It was a window into a fundamental truth about human biology that no one had previously understood. Most species had static neural networks. Information traveled predictable paths. Damage to specific areas meant permanent loss of function. But human brains didn't follow those rules. They rewrote themselves. They learned. They adapted with a speed and complexity that bordered on impossible. The research team worked through the night, powered by synthetic caffeine and unbridled curiosity. Each scan revealed new layers of complexity. Neural pathways that didn't just communicate but anticipated. Synaptic connections that could instantaneously reroute around potential disruptions. "It's like the brain is playing four-dimensional chess," Elena explained to her team, "while other species are playing checkers." Outside the research facility, the first whispers of their discovery began to spread. Diplomatic channels buzzed with speculation. The Interstellar Scientific Council requested preliminary reports. Government representatives from multiple planets wanted briefings. But Elena knew they had only scratched the surface. The human brain wasn't just resistant to external threats. It was actively learning from them. Each attempted attack became a lesson, a new piece of information to be integrated and understood. Where other species saw destruction, human biology saw an opportunity for growth. As dawn broke over the New Geneva complex, Dr. Rodriguez realized they were holding something far more significant than a defensive mechanism. This was evidence of a fundamental difference in how humans interacted with the universe. Not just surviving, but transforming. Always transforming. The central chamber of the Zorn Collective's primary research facility pulsed with a cold, calculated energy. Holographic displays flickered with failed simulation after failed simulation, each one a testament to their growing frustration. Lead technologist Krell 9 extended multiple sensory tendrils, analyzing the latest data stream. Decades of interstellar dominance have been built on the precision of their assassination technologies. Entire political systems had crumbled with a mere quantum pulse. Civilizations had been reshaped by their ability to eliminate key targets without a trace. And now, everything had changed. Humans, a species barely noticed on the galactic stage, had somehow become an impenetrable anomaly. "Recalibrate the quantum entanglement matrix," Krell 9 commanded, its voice a modulated blend of electronic precision and biological irritation. Surrounding technicians moved with mechanical efficiency, their multiple appendages dancing across complex control interfaces. Each new weapon design became more sophisticated. Where simple neural disruption had failed, they now constructed multi-layered attack protocols. Quantum fields that should theoretically unravel molecular bonds. Psychic disruption waves that had previously destabilized even the most robust neural networks. Nothing worked. The first attempt used a precision quantum entanglement field, designed to simultaneously disrupt neural pathways at the molecular level. It had dismantled entire leadership structures across 17 different star systems. Against humans, it scattered like morning mist, leaving no trace of its destructive potential. Second came the molecular destabilization protocol, a weapon so advanced it could theoretically dissolve neural connections faster than thought could travel. Previous targets had collapsed into neurological dust within microseconds of exposure. Humans simply continued functioning. More disturbing were the secondary effects. Each failed attack seemed to make human neural networks stronger. Where other species would show cumulative damage, humans displayed an impossible adaptive response. Their brains weren't just defending, they were learning. Krell 9 accessed the most classified data streams. Reports from field agents showed a disturbing pattern. Human targets weren't just surviving assassination attempts. They were developing increased resistance with each encounter. "This defies every known principle of neurological science," muttered a secondary technician, quickly silencing itself as Krell 9's sensory tendrils swept nearby. The Zorn Collective's entire political structure relied on the ability to eliminate strategic targets silently and efficiently. Entire galactic power dynamics had been maintained through their precise interventions. Governments rose and fell at their discreet manipulation. Humans changed everything. Their neural networks didn't just resist. They transformed. Each attack became a learning experience, a new piece of data to be integrated and understood. Where other species saw destruction, human biology saw an opportunity for growth. Simulation after simulation failed. Advanced quantum computers overheated trying to model human neural responses. The more complex the weapon, the more spectacularly it failed. Krell 9 reviewed the accumulated data. Frustration was an inefficient emotion, but something close to it vibrated through its neural network. Entire technological paradigms were collapsing. Weapons that had maintained galactic order for centuries had become useless against a single species, a species that seemed almost amused by their attempts. The final report came in from the latest field test. Another assassination attempt, another complete failure. Something fundamental had changed in the universe, and the Zorn Collective was about to discover that technological superiority meant nothing against a species capable of true adaptation. The research complex hummed with an energy that transcended technological infrastructure. Dr. Elena Rodriguez stood before a wall of holographic displays, each one a window into the most extraordinary neural discovery in galactic history. Midnight had long since passed. Coffee grew cold in forgotten mugs. Her research team worked with a combination of scientific discipline and unbridled excitement that defied conventional academic boundaries. "Look at this sequence," Dr. Marcus Chen called out, highlighting a specific neural pathway on the primary display. The image showed something unprecedented. Neural connections that didn't just adapt, but actively anticipated potential disruptions. Delina leaned closer. The neural map was alive, dynamic, almost sentient in its complexity. Where traditional neuroscience saw fixed pathways, this revealed something entirely different. The human brain wasn't just a network. It was a living, breathing ecosystem of information. "It's not a defense mechanism," she whispered. "It's an intelligence system." Each attempted assassination had become a learning experience. The brain didn't just resist external threats. It studied them, analyzed them, integrated them into its own understanding. What should have been destructive became transformative. Dr. Samira Khan, their quantum neurobiologist, brought up comparative scans from previous attempts. The progression was mind-bending. Each attack left neural networks more complex, more adaptive. Where other species would show cumulative damage, humans displayed exponential growth. "We're looking at something beyond biological adaptation," Samira explained, her fingers dancing across multiple holographic interfaces. "This is evolution in real time. Not over generations, not over years, but in milliseconds." The implication stretched far beyond a simple defensive mechanism. This was a fundamental reimagining of biological intelligence. Traditional understanding suggested neural networks had fixed capacities. Learn too much, and they would become rigid. Encounter too many threats, and they would break down. Humans did the opposite. Every challenge became an opportunity. Every potential destruction became a chance for reconstruction. Alina pulled up the initial assassination attempt recordings. The first drone's neural disruptor should have completely destroyed cognitive function. Instead, it had triggered a cascade of neural reorganization that defied every known scientific principle. "It's like the brain is playing four-dimensional chess," Marcus muttered. While other species are playing checkers, the quantum computers struggled to process the data. Advanced algorithms designed to analyze neural networks began to overheat, unable to comprehend the complexity of human brain function. What should have been a simple analysis became a complex mathematical challenge that pushed computational limits. Outside the research facility, the first whispers of their discovery began to spread. The Interstellar Scientific Council requested preliminary reports. Government representatives from multiple planets demanded briefings. But Alina knew they had only scratched the surface. This wasn't just about survival. This was about a fundamental difference in how humans interacted with information, with threats, with the very fabric of existence. The neural scans told a story of remarkable potential. Each attempted disruption created new pathways. Each potential threat became an opportunity for growth. The human brain didn't just defend itself, it transformed itself. "We're not just resistant," Alina told her team as dawn began to break. "We're fundamentally different." The universe was about to learn that humanity was something entirely new, not just a species that could survive, but a species that could transform anything, even an attempt at destruction, into an opportunity for growth. The Interstellar Communication Hub buzzed with unprecedented activity. Holographic representations of diplomatic representatives from hundreds of star systems flickered in and out of existence, their collective attention focused on a single topic: humanity. Ambassador Helena Reyes stood at the center of the massive circular chamber, her posture calm despite the storm of reactions surrounding her. The hub's quantum translators worked overtime, converting a cacophony of languages and communication methods into comprehensible dialogue. The Zentari representative's crystalline form pulsed with agitation. How is this possible? Its multifaceted communication tendrils twisted in what passed for emotional distress among its species, a technological threat that cannot be neutralized. From the methane-based atmosphere of the Croxian delegation came a low, rumbling response. Not a threat, the translator interpreted. An anomaly, a biological adaptation beyond current understanding. News of humanity's neural defense had spread faster than light communication. What began as a simple scientific discovery had become the most significant galactic event in generations. Species that had operated under a specific power dynamic for centuries now found themselves reassessing everything. The Zorn Collective's communication channels had gone silent. Their decades of political manipulation, their ability to quietly remove inconvenient leadership across multiple star systems, had been neutralized by a single species they had previously considered insignificant. Helena watched the diplomatic dance with careful precision. Humanity hadn't sought this moment. They hadn't weaponized their discovery. Instead, the scientific community had approached the breakthrough with pure scientific curiosity. "We're offering to share our research," she stated calmly. The translation arrays picked up her words, converting them into hundreds of different communication formats. "Our goal is understanding, not conflict." The chamber fell silent. Sharing such a breakthrough went against every known diplomatic protocol. Most species guarded their technological and biological advantages with extreme prejudice. Humanity was proposing something radical: open scientific collaboration. The Aldebaran cluster representative, a being of pure energy contained within a sophisticated environmental suit, flickered with curiosity. Its communication came as a series of precise mathematical equations that resolved into language. Why? The question hung in the air, complex and loaded with millennia of interstellar mistrust. Helena smiled. Because knowledge should elevate everyone, not just a select few. Behind the diplomatic facade, scientific communities across multiple star systems were already exchanging data. Research teams worked through quantum communication networks, analyzing the human neural adaptation from every possible angle. What they discovered both terrified and fascinated them. The human brain wasn't just resistant to external threats. It was a living system that transformed challenges into opportunities for growth. Each attempted destruction became a moment of potential creation. Where other species saw danger, humans saw a chance to learn and evolve. Political strategists struggled to understand this new paradigm. Traditional galactic power structures relied on the ability to eliminate threats silently and efficiently. Humanity had just demonstrated a completely different approach to survival. Outside the communication hub, news networks across multiple star systems broadcast the ongoing diplomatic session. Citizens of countless worlds watched, uncertain whether they were witnessing the beginning of a new era or the prelude to an unprecedented conflict. The Croxian delegation's communication tentacles began to pulse with a pattern that their translators interpreted as excitement. Not a weapon, the translation came. A new way of understanding existence. Helena knew this was just the beginning. The scientific breakthrough was more than a defensive mechanism. It was a fundamental reimagining of how intelligence could interact with challenge and threat. The universe was about to change, and humanity stood at the center of that transformation. The new Geneva Research Complex transformed overnight. What had been a cutting-edge scientific facility became the most important diplomatic venue in known space. Dr. Elena Rodriguez stood at the center of a massive circular laboratory, surrounded by representatives from dozens of alien species. Holographic displays surrounded them, showing intricate neural maps that danced with complexity. Each representation told a story of potential, of adaptation beyond anything previously imagined. "We're not offering a weapon," Elena explained, her voice calm and precise. "We're offering an understanding." The Zentari representative, a being of crystalline intelligence contained within a sophisticated environmental suit, shifted with barely contained curiosity. Its communication array translated Elena's words into a complex series of mathematical equations and electromagnetic pulses. The offer was unprecedented. Humanity proposed a complete open-source sharing of their neural adaptation research. No restrictions, no hidden agendas, just pure scientific collaboration. Dr. Marcus Chen brought up a series of comparative neural scans. Where other species showed rigid, predictable neural networks, human brains appeared as living ecosystems, each pathway dynamic, each connection a potential for growth. Our research suggests that neural adaptation isn't just a defensive mechanism, Marcus explained. It's a fundamental approach to processing information and challenge. The Croxian delegation, methane-breathing entities whose biology was almost completely alien to human understanding, pulsed with excitement. Their translation arrays picked up nuances of scientific enthusiasm that transcended biological boundaries. Behind the scenes, political strategists from multiple star systems watched with a mixture of hope and trepidation. Humanity was proposing something radical, not dominance, not conquest, but collaborative evolution. Elena walked them through the initial discoveries. How human brains didn't just resist external threats, but actively transformed them. Each attempted disruption became an opportunity for growth. Where other species saw destruction, humans saw potential for understanding. The scientific community had been searching for a universal approach to neural protection for centuries. Civilizations had developed sophisticated technological defenses, quantum shields, molecular disruptors, psychic barriers. Humanity offered something entirely different, a biological approach to adaptation that went beyond simple defense. We're not just sharing a technology, Elena told the assembled representatives. We're sharing a way of thinking, an approach to existence that sees challenges as opportunities. The Aldebaran cluster representative, a being of pure energy contained within a sophisticated projection matrix, flickered with intense curiosity. Its communication came in precise mathematical patterns that resolved into complex linguistic structures. Why? The question hung in the air. A challenge. A genuine moment of interstellar confusion. Helena Reyes, who had been quietly observing, stepped forward. Because knowledge should elevate everyone, not just a select few. The offer went against every known interstellar diplomatic protocol. Most species guarded their technological advantages with extreme prejudice. Humanity was proposing complete transparency, complete collaboration. Quantum communication networks began to hum with activity. Research teams across multiple star systems started analyzing the shared data. What they discovered both terrified and fascinated them. The human approach wasn't just about survival. It was about transformation. Each potential threat became an opportunity for growth. Each challenge and chance to understand something new. Where other species saw danger, humans saw potential for learning. As the day progressed, the initial confusion began to transform into something else. Excitement, curiosity, a genuine scientific enthusiasm that transcended biological and cultural boundaries. The universe was about to change, and humanity stood at the center of that transformation, not as conquerors, but as collaborators. The Galactic Research Network pulsed with unprecedented activity. What had begun as a simple neural adaptation study had become a revolution of understanding that stretched across hundreds of star systems. Dr. Elena Rodriguez watched from the New Geneva Research Complex as collaborative research stations began to emerge. Species that had been historical rivals now worked side by side, united by a single breakthrough of human origin. The Zentari computational centers were the first to integrate the neural adaptation research. Their crystalline neural networks, once considered the most advanced in the known galaxy, underwent a complete reconstruction. Where they had previously seen intelligence as a fixed system, they now understood it as a dynamic, evolving process. Croxian research teams discovered methods to make their methane-based neural systems more adaptable. The Aldebaran energy beings began to understand biological intelligence in ways they had never considered possible. Each species found unique applications of the human research, transforming their own understanding of consciousness and adaptation. Political structures that had relied on silent elimination began to crumble. The Zorn Collective's entire system of quiet manipulation became obsolete. Diplomatic channels that had previously been controlled by threat and counter-threat now opened into genuine dialogue. It's not about defense, Elena explained during a crucial interstellar conference. It's about potential. Research stations began to appear in unexpected locations. Orbital platforms where species that had never directly communicated now worked together. Quantum communication networks hummed with collaborative energy that transcended traditional boundaries. The economic impact was profound. Species that had previously invested heavily in defensive technologies began redirecting resources into collaborative research. Entire industries transformed overnight. On remote research stations, scientists from completely different biological backgrounds discovered a common language. Not of words, but of understanding. The human approach to neural adaptation became a universal template for thinking about intelligence itself. The Zorn Collective's communication channels grew quieter with each passing day. Their method of maintaining galactic order through silent elimination had been completely neutralized. Political systems that had existed for millennia began to reshape themselves. Dr. Marcus Chen discovered something even more remarkable. The collaborative research was creating a kind of collective intelligence that transcended individual species. Each breakthrough became a shared moment of discovery. Diplomatic representatives who had once viewed each other with suspicion now worked together. Research teams that had been competitors became collaborators. The very concept of threat began to transform into an opportunity for understanding. Elena realized they had discovered something far more significant than a neural defense mechanism. They had found a new way of approaching existence itself. Research stations began to appear in unexpected locations. Orbital platforms where species that had never directly communicated now worked together. Quantum communication networks hummed with collaborative energy that transcended traditional boundaries. The human approach wasn't about conquering. It wasn't about defeating other species. It was about elevation, about finding potential in what others saw as challenge. Historical conflicts began to dissolve. Species that had been locked in centuries-long disputes found common ground in collaborative research. The neural adaptation study became a bridge between civilizations. "We're rewriting the fundamental understanding of intelligence," Helena Reyes told a gathering of interstellar diplomats. "Not as a fixed system, but as a dynamic, evolving process." The universe watched, and the universe began to change. What had started as a simple scientific discovery had become something far more significant. A new approach to existence, a way of understanding that saw potential where others saw limitation. Humanity had not conquered the galaxy. They had transformed it. Decades after the initial discovery, Dr. Elena Rodriguez sat in her research archive, surrounded by holographic memories of a transformation that had reshaped the known universe. The New Geneva Historical Museum had become a testament to a moment that changed everything. Visitors from hundreds of star systems walked through exhibits that showed humanity's journey from a minor species to a catalyst of galactic understanding. Her granddaughter, Sophia, listened intently as Elena reflected on those pivotal moments. The neural adaptation research wasn't just a scientific breakthrough. It had been a fundamental reimagining of how intelligence could exist. "We didn't conquer," Elena explained, her voice soft but filled with the same passion that had driven her decades earlier. "We collaborated." The holographic displays around them showed the incredible transformation. Species that had been historical rivals now worked together on unprecedented research initiatives. Planetary systems that had once existed in constant tension now shared scientific platforms. The Zorn Collective had completely dissolved. Their method of maintaining galactic order through silent elimination had become obsolete. Diplomatic systems that had existed for millennia had been completely restructured. Sophia activated the primary historical archive. Images of the first breakthrough flickered to life, the moment when humans demonstrated an unprecedented ability to adapt to neural threats. What had seemed like a simple defensive mechanism had become a universal template for understanding intelligence. "It changed everything," Elena continued, "not through force, but through understanding." Research stations that had begun as collaborative experiments had transformed into permanent interstellar institutions. The neural adaptation research had become a living, evolving field of study that continued to push the boundaries of scientific understanding. The economic impact had been profound. Entire industries that had previously focused on defensive technologies had redirected their efforts into collaborative research. Resources once used for conflict were now invested in understanding. Sophia brought up a series of comparative charts: the reduction in interstellar conflicts, the increase in collaborative research, the expansion of scientific understanding across multiple species. "We didn't just protect ourselves," Elena explained. "We showed another way of existing." The museum's most popular exhibit demonstrated the core of the breakthrough: a dynamic holographic representation of neural pathways that showed how challenge could be transformed into opportunity, how threat could become understanding. Outside, the view of New Geneva showcased the transformation. Orbital research platforms where species from across the galaxy worked together, communication networks that hummed with collaborative energy. The human approach had become a universal language of sorts, not of words, but of potential, of seeing beyond immediate challenges to broader possibilities. "Your generation doesn't remember," Elena told Sophia. "But before this, the galaxy was a very different place. Conflict was the primary method of interaction. Elimination was seen as a solution." Holographic displays showed the dramatic shift. Diplomatic channels that had once been controlled by threat and counter-threat now represented genuine dialogue. Political systems that had existed for millennia had been completely reshaped. Sophia activated the final historical archive. the moment when humanity had made its most radical choice, not to weaponize their discovery, not to use it for dominance, but to share it, to collaborate. We didn't just change how we defended ourselves, Alina said, her eyes bright with the memory. We changed how intelligence could exist. The museum around them was a living testament to that transformation. Representatives from dozens of species moved through the exhibits. What had once been impossible, direct, peaceful communication, was now everyday reality. As the day drew to a close, Alina looked at her granddaughter. The universe that Sophia would inherit was fundamentally different from the one Alina had known. Not through conquest, not through force, but through understanding. Through the simple, profound recognition that every challenge is an opportunity. That intelligence is not a fixed system, but a dynamic, evolving process. The universe had changed, and humanity had been the catalyst. Not as conquerors, but as collaborators.